Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln penny coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1, where history meets mystery, one coin at a time. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic and surprisingly valuable coins in American history. You've seen it in your pocket, your change jar, or maybe even lost between couch cushions. But what if I told you that a single 1-cent coin from 1960 could be hiding a jaw-dropping secret? Yes, we're talking about the 1960 Lincoln penny. It's small, it's copper, and it's incredibly common, or so you might think. But hidden among the millions of these little coins are a select few that are worth a staggering amount of money. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why. So stick around, because this story is going to change the way you look at pennies forever. Let's start with a little background. The Lincoln Cent has been around since 1909, introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the Indian head penny and was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln penny has gone through a few subtle design changes over the decades, but in 1960, something very special happened. In 1960, the United States Mint issued two versions of the Lincoln penny, a large date and a small date. At first glance, the difference is barely noticeable. But to collectors, that tiny difference means everything. The size of the numerals in the year 1960 on the obverse, the front of the coin, is what separates a common penny from a potential jackpot. Both Philadelphia and Denver mints produced these variations, and while millions were minted, certain combinations, like the small date variety from Denver, were printed in lower quantities and are incredibly hard to find today, especially in pristine, uncirculated condition. Now let's talk about what makes these pennies so rare and desirable. You see, most coins are handled, spent, tossed around, and worn down over time. But a select few were never circulated. They were kept in mint rolls or special proof sets, protected from damage. These coins maintain their original shine, crisp detail, and sharp strike, traits that serious collectors and grading experts look for. Even among these mint state coins, some stand out due to die variations and errors. That's right, some of the most valuable 1960 Lincoln pennies have what's known as a double die error. This occurs during the minting process when the design is stamped twice, slightly misaligned. The result? A coin with overlapping or blurry numbers and letters. These mistakes make them incredibly rare, and collectors go crazy for them. You might be wondering, how can you tell if you have one of these rare coins? Grab a magnifying glass and look closely at the date. If the numbers look slightly uneven, or the 0 in 1960 appears smaller than the others, you might have a small date version. And if the mint mark shows signs of doubling, or if the details on Lincoln's face, beard, or lettering seem to have a shadow, you might be holding a double die error. These are the key traits that turn a humble penny into a numismatic treasure. And here's a fun fact: even just the right small date penny, without any errors, can still fetch a high price if it's in brilliant condition. Why? Because collectors are always looking to complete their sets with high-grade, rare variants. It's not just about age, it's about scarcity, quality, and demand. Over the years, these rare 1960 pennies have been steadily gaining attention in the collector market. Auction houses have seen bidding wars break out over coins that look like the ones you'd toss in a tip jar. And the best part? These coins are still out there. They're not locked away in museums or private vaults. They could be sitting in your drawer, in an old coin jar, or in a family collection passed down for generations. Imagine finding one and realizing it's not just a penny, it's a piece of American history with a hidden story worth uncovering. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. Just how much could one of these rare 1960 Lincoln pennies be worth? If you happen to have a genuine small date variety, with a double die error, in near perfect uncirculated condition, this little 1-cent coin could be worth up to $95,000. That's right. $95,000 for a single penny. So next time you're going through your change, don't overlook the little guys. Because that ordinary looking coin in your hand could be the key to an extraordinary discovery. If you enjoyed this deep dive into rare coins and hidden treasures, be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on our next big reveal. Until then, keep hunting, stay curious, and who knows, you might just be one penny away from a fortune. Top 2, we're turning the spotlight on a coin that might be sitting in your pocket change right now, the United States 1963 D Lincoln penny. Now I know what you're thinking, what could possibly be so special about a penny from the 1960s? After all, they're made by the millions, right? That's true, but what if I told you that a rare version of this tiny 1-cent coin has sold for the kind of money most people dream about? Stick around, because we're about to dive deep into the fascinating story behind the 1963 D Lincoln penny, the secrets it hides, and how one could be worth more than a brand new luxury car. Let's rewind the clock to 1963. John F. Kennedy was president, the Beatles were taking over the world, and the U.S. Mint was pumping out coins at an incredible pace. The Denver Mint, which you'll recognize by the small d under the date, struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents that year. To most people, the 1963 D penny was just another coin for candy, newspapers, or a phone call, but here's the thing. Not all of those coins were created equally. Hidden among the hundreds of millions are a few rare examples that stand out for one reason: minting anomalies. These could include everything from double die errors, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and more. These rare variations are what transform a common coin into a high-value collectible, but even without a mint error, a 1963 D penny can be incredibly valuable if it's in pristine, uncirculated condition. The key here is condition and grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless specimen. If a 1963 D penny has survived all these years without a single scratch, ding, or discoloration, it becomes a rarity in its own right. Think about it, most pennies are tossed in pockets, dropped on sidewalks, shoved into vending machines, and passed from hand to hand for decades. So finding one from 1963 that looks as if it just came off the minting press? That's not something you see every day. Now let's talk about what collectors really look for. One of the major factors is sharpness of detail. Look closely at Lincoln's face. Is the cheekbone crisp? Can you see every line in his beard? Is the text around the rim bold and clean? These are signs of a strong strike and well-preserved coin. Then there's the color. A coin with its original red luster, that bright copper shine, is far more valuable than one that's faded or darkened over time. And here's where it gets really exciting. Some 1963 D pennies have what are called RPM varieties, short for repunched mint mark. This happens when the Denver D was accidentally stamped more than once in slightly different positions. You might need a magnifying glass to see it, but to a collector, this is gold. These types of errors, combined with top-tier condition, can make your penny skyrocket in value. You might be wondering, how do I know if I have one of these special coins? Start by checking any 1963 pennies you have. Flip the coin and look just below the date. If there's a D, you've got a Denver Mint. Now, examine the coin closely. Use a magnifying lens if you have one. Look at the mint mark. Does it look doubled or off-center? Is the date sharply struck and well-defined? And what about the overall condition? Does it still have its original shine? If the answer is yes to any of those questions, you might just be holding on to something amazing. Over the years, coin auctions and collector forums have been buzzing about rare 1963 D pennies. While most of them are worth a few cents, a select few, because of rarity, condition, and unique traits, have made headlines. And these coins aren't just museum pieces. They're real coins, found by everyday people who took the time to check their change, inspect their collections, or dig through a forgotten coin jar in the attic. It's like striking gold, except it's copper. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. Just how much could the rarest, most pristine, most sought-after 1963 D Lincoln penny be worth in today's collector market? If you're lucky enough to find one in flawless, mint-state condition, especially with a rare error like a repunched mint mark, your humble 1-cent coin could fetch as much as $88,000. Yes, you heard that right. $88,000. For a penny. So before you toss that old change or ignore that jar full of copper coins, take a closer look. Your next big discovery might be hiding in plain sight. Top 3. If you're someone who loves history, mystery, and a touch of surprise, you're in for a treat today. Because we're talking about something that most people overlook every single day. Yes, the penny. But not just any penny. Today, it's all about a specific one, the 1961 D Lincoln penny from the United States. At first glance, this coin might seem ordinary. It's just a 1-cent piece, right? Something you might find at the bottom of your purse, in your car's cup holder, or between couch cushions. But hidden in plain sight among billions of coins are a rare few coins with stories, errors, and secrets that can be worth an incredible amount of money. And the 1961 D Lincoln penny? It just might be one of those coins. So stay with me, because this coin story could make you see your change jar in a whole new light. Let's take a step back and talk about the era. The year was 1961. John F. Kennedy had just taken office as president. The Cold War was heating up. The US was preparing to send men into space. And while all that was happening, the Denver Mint was quietly striking hundreds of millions of pennies, over 1.75 billion of them, to be exact. Now, you might be thinking, how could something so common ever be rare or valuable? Well, here's where it gets interesting. While most of those pennies went on to live rough lives in pockets, cash registers, and vending machines, a very small number were struck under unusual conditions. Some were made with slight but important minting errors. Others were preserved in near-perfect condition, never circulated, never scratched, never tarnished, and those are the ones collectors are going crazy for today. The 1961 D Lincoln penny features the classic design by Victor David Brenner. On the front, we see the profile of Abraham Lincoln, facing right. Simple, strong, and instantly recognizable. Below the year 1961, you'll find the small D mint mark, showing it was struck in Denver. On the back, the Lincoln Memorial sits proudly, framed by the words 1 cent and United States of America. But here's the thing, not all of these coins were created equal. Some of the rarest and most valuable 1961 D pennies are known for what's called a repunched mint mark. That's when the small d was punched more than once during production, creating a shadow or doubling effect under magnification. These subtle errors were unintentional, but they'd become pure gold to collectors today. And in some extremely rare cases, the doubling is so strong that even the date or letters show signs of it. These are known as double die varieties, and they can take a coin's value from cents to thousands. What really drives the value, though, is condition. Coin grading is serious business. Coins are rated from 1 to 70 based on their condition, with 70 being a perfect, mint state coin, flawless in every way. Most coins you find in circulation are far below that. But if you happen to find a 1961 D penny that has never been used, never handled, and still shines like the day it was minted, you've got something special. Imagine holding a coin that's over 60 years old and looks brand new. No nicks, no scratches, no discoloration. Just clean copper and crisp details. That's the kind of coin collectors will pay big money for, especially if it has one of those rare repunched mint marks or doubling errors. Now here's where things get exciting. Some collectors spend their lives hunting for the perfect penny. They check estate sales, coin rolls, online auctions, and even old piggy banks. Because that one rare coin, the one everyone else overlooked, could be worth a small fortune. And guess what? That includes the 1961 D Lincoln penny. These coins may not look flashy, but they're loaded with history, character, and potential. They're a symbol of everyday America, and in some cases, they're worth way more than their face value. So, the next time you spot a 1961 penny with that little d underneath, don't toss it aside. Take a closer look. You might just be staring at something extraordinary, and now, the moment you've all been waiting for. What is this coin really worth? If you come across a 1961 D Lincoln penny with a rare repunched mint mark, or a strong double die, and it's in pristine, mint state condition, flawless from edge to edge, then hold on tight. Because that tiny copper coin could be worth as much as $92,000, yes. $92,000. For a penny. It's stories like these that make coin collecting more than just a hobby, it's a treasure hunt. So go check your change jar, dig through that old box in the attic, and inspect those rolls of pennies from the bank. Your next big find might be sitting right under your nose. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe for more incredible coin stories, and tap the bell so you never miss out on future treasure tales. Top 4. We're diving into a story that proves the smallest things in life can sometimes carry the biggest surprises. You might want to grab a magnifying glass and check your change jar after this one, because today, we're talking about a little copper coin that could make a huge impact, the 1975 D Lincoln penny. And now, most people don't even glance at their pennies. They're tossed aside, dropped in parking lots, or forgotten in drawers. But what if I told you that one of those pennies, specifically the 1975 D Lincoln Cent, could be worth more than a brand new sports car? Let's set the stage. The year was 1975. The Vietnam War was coming to a close, disco was dominating the radio, and American pop culture was shifting in a big way. Meanwhile, over in Denver, Colorado, the U.S. Mint was quietly cranking out coins by the billions, including the humble Lincoln penny with a little d under the year to indicate its Denver origin. At first glance, the 1975 D penny looks just like every other 1-cent piece. It features Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front, as it has since 1909. The back shows the Lincoln Memorial, with tiny details that often go unnoticed until now. So, what makes the 1975 D penny different? Why is this everyday coin turning heads in the collector world? It comes down to two simple things: rarity and condition. While hundreds of millions of these coins were minted, the vast majority went straight into circulation. They were used for decades, worn down, scratched, dented, and forgotten. That's what makes uncirculated coins, those that somehow avoided all that wear and tear, so incredibly valuable. And now, let's add a little twist. Among the coins minted in 1975, there are a few that stand out because of subtle but significant minting errors. These can include things like off-center strikes, doubling in the lettering or date, or repunched mint marks. Errors like these might seem like mistakes, but in the world of coin collecting, they're treasures. The tiniest details make all the difference. A slight misalignment in the minting press. A double impression of the D mint mark. A faint doubling in the word Liberty or the numbers in the date. These are signs that you might be holding one of the rarest examples of this coin, and possibly one worth a serious chunk of change. And then there's the condition factor. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being absolute perfection, a coin with zero flaws under magnification. A 1975 D penny in mint state 67 or higher is incredibly rare. Combine that kind of pristine condition with a rare error, and you've got something truly extraordinary. You might be asking, how do I know if I have one of these rare pennies? Great question. Start by checking the date and looking for that small d beneath that 1975. That means it was minted in Denver. Then, under a good light, or even better, with a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass, check the details. Is the strike sharp and clean? Are there any unusual signs in the lettering, numbers, or mint mark? Does it still have that original reddish shine, called red luster by collectors? Even if your coin looks perfect to the naked eye, getting it professionally graded is the key to unlocking its true value. A professional coin grading service can tell you exactly what you're holding, and believe me, for some lucky people, it's been the surprise of a lifetime. There have been verified cases where a seemingly ordinary penny, tucked away in a drawer for years, turned out to be worth thousands. And the 1975 D is no exception. This coin has been drawing attention from serious collectors and investors, especially when it comes in flawless condition or features a recognized minting anomaly. Just imagine you're sorting through an old piggy bank, and there it is. A bright, crisp 1975 D penny, free from scratches, clear as the day it was minted, with a rare error you didn't even notice. That moment of discovery? That's what keeps treasure hunters coming back, again and again. So, let's get to the part you've been waiting for. How much can this little coin actually be worth? If you're lucky enough to find a 1975 D Lincoln penny in top grade condition, with a rare error like a double die or repunched mint mark, and it's been perfectly preserved for nearly 50 years, then brace yourself. Because this 1-cent coin could be worth as much as $85,000. That's right. $85,000. For a single penny. That's why coin collecting isn't just a hobby, it's a hunt. A hunt for history, for mystery, and maybe even for life-changing rewards. So before you toss your next handful of change aside, take a closer look. Your fortune might be sitting right there in your hand, disguised as an ordinary penny. Top 5. We're about to dive deep into the fascinating world of one of America's most iconic coins, the Lincoln penny. But we're not just talking about any old penny today. We're talking about a very specific one, the 1981 D Lincoln 1-cent coin. Now, most people would see a penny from 1981 and think absolutely nothing of it. It's just a coin, worth 1 cent, right? Toss it in a jar, use it in a vending machine, maybe even ignore it on the ground. But what if I told you that one of these little copper coins could be worth thousands of dollars? What if the penny you thought was worthless could actually change your life? Yes, it sounds unbelievable. But that's the beauty of coin collecting. History, rarity, and condition all come together in surprising ways. And today, we're going to uncover the hidden story behind the 1981 D penny, and why one of these coins might just be worth a fortune. Let's rewind to 1981. Ronald Reagan was just elected president, MTV was about to launch, and America was at a cultural crossroads. It was also a transitional year for the US Mint. In fact, 1981 marked one of the final full years that pennies were made primarily from copper. After this, in 1982, the mint switched to a cheaper zinc core with a thin copper coating, so 1981 was the end of an era. The D mint mark on the 1981 D penny means it was minted in Denver. That year, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins, over 6 billion, to be exact. So with such a huge number minted, you might be wondering, how could one of them possibly be rare? Well, that's where the real story begins. Out of those billions of coins, only a tiny fraction were struck under exceptional conditions. Even fewer survived in perfect condition. And among those survivors, some have unique features, small errors, misstrikes, or unusual qualities that make them incredibly valuable to collectors. One of the most fascinating aspects of coin collecting is the importance of what experts call mint state. This refers to coins that were never circulated, never used in everyday transactions, and are free from wear and damage. A 1981 D penny in mint state, especially if graded MS67 or higher, is incredibly rare, simply because most coins were used and abused from the day they were released. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Some of the most sought-after 1981 D pennies have specific die varieties or mint errors. These could include repunched mint marks, where the D was accidentally stamped twice, or doubling on the letters or numbers. Sometimes, the striking die was misaligned, causing off-center images or other oddities. These aren't flaws, they're collector gold. Now, imagine finding a 1981 D penny that not only has one of these rare features, but also has been kept in pristine, untouched condition for over 4 decades. That's the kind of combination that serious collectors will pay top dollar for. Why? Because it checks every box: rarity, historical value, condition, and uniqueness. So how do you know if your 1981 D penny is special? Start by checking the date and looking for that tiny D mint mark under the year. Then, examine the coin closely. Use a magnifying glass or a coin loop to look for doubling in the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the date itself. Pay attention to the mint mark. Does it look slightly off or like it was struck more than once? And most importantly, is the coin still bright, red, and glossy, with no scratches or signs of wear? If the answer is yes to even one of those questions, you may be holding a coin worth far more than just a cent die. In recent years, collectors have started to pay more attention to pennies from the early 1980s, especially as it becomes harder to find them in high-grade condition. Auction houses, online collectors, and grading services have all reported spikes in demand for exceptional 1981 D coins. What used to be ignored is now in the spotlight, and the values reflect that growing interest. It's the thrill of the hunt. The chance that something sitting in your coin jar could be part of American history. That a piece of change might be the one thing you overlooked, and now it could be the thing that changes your day, your collection, or maybe even your life. Now, it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. That if you happen to have a 1981 D Lincoln penny with a rare mint error or a perfect, uncirculated grade, especially one that's been officially graded and certified at the highest levels, then your little copper coin could be worth as much as $78,000. That's right. $78,000. For a single penny. It's not just about money, it's about history, rarity, and discovery. And the best part? These treasures are still out there, hiding in plain sight. In old drawers, jars, rolls of coins, or maybe even in your own pocket right now. So the next time you spot a penny, don't overlook it. Flip it over, take a closer look, and remember this video. You never know when a simple coin could become your biggest find yet. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating world of rare pennies, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you never miss another amazing discovery. Until next time, stay curious, keep collecting, and good luck on your hunt for hidden treasure.